Blake Snell with Scott Boras.
No. Pay cut? No. That's gone too far.
The fact that we have to wake up at 4 in the morning. No, I'm not taking no pay cuts.
Boras taking
Not
L's
here.
low-key this offseason.
Okay, so Blake Snell was offered over $150 million. Denied it. Matt Chapman was offered over $150 million. Denied it. There is something to be said. Scott Boras.
Did the player deny it or Boris tell him to deny it?
Well, look, Boris is going to always say that the players, they control their own destiny. But when you're being told by one of the best agents of all time when it comes to maximizing money, I'm going to get you 3 or 4 times that guaranteed.
Yeah.
Most of these guys are going to go down that route. But it seems to me, whether it's a concerted effort or a non-concerted effort by owners, they ice this dude out. And if you look at all the contracts, like Matt Chapman, Boris agent, he's on basically a 1 year plus one plus one.
Yep.
You look at Blake Snell, a 1+1.
Yep.
Who else? I know he had other guys out there. I think Jordan Montgomery currently.
A lot of Boris guys out there, but that's baseball. I blame both. I blame Boris and I blame the organizations. You know, you got to do something better. Like, as a baseball team, and this is why, as much as I love this Blake Snell signing, I do worry about him not being in camp and then trying to ramp up and get ready for the regular season. Same thing's going to happen.
That's a good point, actually.
JD Martinez is going to have to ramp up and get ready for the regular season in a heartbeat after seeing limited at-bats, if not any at-bats. Same thing with Jordan Montgomery. Where are they at? Do they struggle right away? Is there going to be rust? Are their arms going to be stretched out? Now you're waiting until the last minute here. They got their money for 1 year, but what happens if they get injured? By not being stretched out in spring training. That's a concern for me when it comes to Blake, if there's any concern.
No, it's a great point. I mean, the reverse is always told, like, well, World Baseball Classic, these guys ramp up way too soon, and that's how they get hurt.
Exactly.
And I think you're 100% on this one. Like, they are going to have to build up to this. I mean, what's he got, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
I don't know if I
days.
like that. That's a good, wow.
You know.
I hadn't considered that.
So there's some numbers there, but overall, the rotation looks so much better. The team looks so much better. And, you know, whether or not you want to give Farhan credit, you have to give him credit. He brought in some guys. They made moves.
If I told you you get a similar season out of Blake Snell this year that you did Carlos Rodon a couple of years ago.
Oh, it's a home run.
Right?
It's a home run.
Because that was a home run free agent signing. Even though he left after 1 year. That was one of the best power left-handed seasons they've ever had from a starter.
And now you get Soler on the other side. You got some hitting. You got some nice starters. I'm eager to see what Jordan Hicks brings to the table.
I am too.
Jorge Soler, I definitely want to see what and then Jung Hoo Lee. Who's Jung Hoo Lee? What is he? Is he a speed guy? Is he going to run the bases? Is he going to lead the league in doubles or triples, outfielder or whatnot? So let's talk about Blake Snell and this new look Giants team with the one and only Dave Flemming, one of the many great voices with the San Francisco Giants. Also has been busy with golf, the college basketball. I hear he's got a son who could really swing it on the diamond, man. Dave Flemming, what is going on? Long time no talk, man. How you been?
Well, I miss both of you guys, but I've seen each of you around town here in the last few weeks.
I know. Unfortunately for you. Unfortunately for you.
You guys are out and about. Good to hear your voices.
Nah, you too, Flem. And the Giants, we know it was a busy day yesterday with the Giants over the last 24 hours, but it did end with a signing of Blake Snell. And on paper, this team just looks so much better. You bring in the NL Cy Young Award winner, you get the runner-up in Logan Webb. All of a sudden, you put less pressure on Kyle Harrison to produce. In the second half of the season, Robbie Ray, let's start with the rotation here. It looks light years better than it did a season ago, Flip. It looks like a rotation that could eat up some innings this season.
Yeah, it's not just innings, although that is a big part of it. I've heard you guys talking about, the pivot away from what the Giants were doing the last couple of years, but it's also dominant innings. I mean, we already know we have that with Logan Webb, but Blake Snell can be a roller coaster. It's not always a smooth ride with him. But I do think the thing that I love most about Snell is maybe 10 times a year, the way he pitches just wins you the game, period. His highs are, I believe that if you go back now, maybe Garrett Cole on opening day, Giants had to face Garrett Cole day one of the season. But I think if you looked at every game pitched against the Giants last year, the most dominant stuff, the best stuff we saw all year was a Blake Snell start, where I really thought, I watched him and thought they have no chance. This guy's so nasty right now, there's no chance. And, even if you don't get that every single time, there's just there's an excitement level every time he gets the ball of that might be the night where you get that guy. And so it's fun. It can be dominant. He can win a game by himself. You should be really excited about Blake Snell.
Dave, I'm going back in the time machine here, but I remember when they brought in Brad Penny and Randy Johnson to kind of, mentor and show some of the younger staff guys, Lincecum, Kane, Johnny Sanchez, how to be pros. What's it going to be for Kyle Harrison to be alongside someone like Blake Snell, who's a lefty, who's been in some huge, high-leverage postseason moments? That's got to be great for the young man.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think you are though gonna have to unhandcuff him from Webb, because he and Webb are like they're big buds, and that's his guy. So I think Kyle is, in a lot of ways now, Blake Snell is a lot more similar pitcher to Harrison than Webb is, but Kyle has become really close with Logan, and Logan has made Kyle Harrison his project. Like, I'm going to teach this guy how to be a big leaguer. I'm going to teach this guy how to be a winner. And the thing that those two share in common, because Logan is just the thing I love about Webb is he's not just super competitive, but he is so loyal. Like, he loves the Giants. Logan Webb wants the Giants to be great. He cares so much about the team, he knows everything about everybody. He gets to know the minor leaguers. He feels like it's part of his job to be an ambassador in that clubhouse for all the new guys who come in. And he's done that beautifully with Kyle Harrison. So now Kyle has his mentor in Logan Webb, and he's got a guy to really watch closely in Blake Snell to figure out, how he's doing it with similar kind of stuff. And I do think, Kyle Harrison gets kind of lost in the shuffle with all these moves. I think Kyle is poised to have a great year. I mean, you never know, young guys, young pitchers, but gosh, I of all the players in camp, of everything that's happened this spring, his performance has maybe been the most exciting. I think Kyle Harrison could be awesome this year.
Wow, I was just going to ask you, Flynn, what should be the realistic expectations for Kyle Harrison coming out of big league camp with the big league team for the first time in his career? So it sounds like we should be optimistic about him possibly challenging for the NL Rookie of the Year award, from what it sounds like from you, because of the spring that he's produced and obviously the expectations he's had coming up through the farm system.
Set the bar high. It should be. He should have high expectations for himself too. He's that talented, and he's super motivated to be great. I mean, the dirty secret in pro sports is, even with all the money on the line, not everybody is the same level of motivated. And Kyle Harrison is he wants to be great. So I think the combo of his aptitude, the stuff, the way he's looked this spring, I have big expectations for Kyle.
Wow, I'm very excited to see him. Local boy, De La Salle. He plays with some fire, too, which I think is great. I'm just looking at the totality of the Giants roster. You re-signed Logan Webb last year, 5 years, $90 million. And then just the offseason that they've had. And I've been critical of Farhan, but you add the best defensive third baseman on the market. You add the best starting left-hander on the market. You go get Jordan Hicks. You add Jung Hoo Lee in center field. You bring in Nick Ahmed. You bring in a legitimate power bat who can be a DH every day in Jorge Soler. I think they've had a great offseason, Flem.
How could anybody argue that I think it's indisputable they've had a great offseason. I do. And look, Chapman, even just being down there this last weekend, basically Chapman's first full weekend of actually playing games. He's just such a well-respected guy that it does sort of change the look of not just the lineup and what it looks like when they're out in the field, but I think you're walking around that clubhouse and everybody's feeling a little different having Matt Chapman aboard. So, yeah, they've had a really good offseason. I think, all of us said at the end of last year, all right, what are the priorities? What do they need to do? Internally, I think they said they needed to get some more power. And, even if that wasn't like glaringly obvious last year, I think Soler is the answer to that. They got to get more athletic and better defensively. Chapman, and I think you're going to really like watching Lee in center field. Lee, he is a better defensive player than I thought. You heard sort of mixed reviews of his defense in Korea, but everybody in Giants camp is saying this guy's got instincts, he's got speed, he's going to be a good defensive center fielder. Quietly, Nick Ahmed, I don't know what to expect from him, but as a stopgap, he looks very fluid, like he's healthy again. I think the left side of the infield is going to be good, and then you got to figure out a way to get depth in your starting pitching and more quality, and they've done that too. They checked all the boxes.
You brought up Jung Hoo Lee, and we're talking to Dave Flemming, one of the many great voices for the San Francisco Giants, also Mr. ESPN with the way he covers college basketball, college football, golf. He does it all here. Jung Hoo Lee at the plate, because one thing about the Giants last season and the last couple of years, they weren't athletic enough offensively in terms of just running the bases, going first to third, second to home. What is Jung Hoo Lee going to provide in the batter spots? Because we hear all about his defense, and that's a great sign for the Giants. Outfield defense was an issue. But what about at the plate, leading off and setting the table for this lineup? What can we expect from Jung Hoo Lee with the bat in his hands?
Well, I talked to Pat Burrell about him this week, and the thing that Pat is most pumped about is he has worked hard on handling velocity. I think the number was last year. And this is kind of hard to believe. I mean, it does tell you the difference in level and style of play. I think last year, his full season, he saw 3 95-plus mile-an-hour fastballs.
Wow.
You see that 10 times a game in the big leagues. So, that was the big question. Can he handle big velocity? And his home run earlier this spring came on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. He's worked really hard, with some machine stuff this winter, primarily on velocity, and I think the Giants feel like he's going to be able to handle it, that he's put in the time to get up to speed as fast as possible. It'll still be something to watch early. Does just the super high velocity stuff take him a little while to get adjusted to? But he's also, you mentioned the base running, he's a really good instinctive. You're going to see more runs from first to home on a double and from second to home on a little bloop single than we've seen in a while with the Giants. He's gonna steal you some runs with how fast and instinctive of a base runner he is.
There's a conversation down the line about the max velocity of America throwing versus the rest of the world and just throwing strikes. That's a very fascinating thing that you told us about the KBO. I want to rat-a-tat-tat some of these young players, though, that either are on the roster or want to make the roster. Pat Bailey, where's he at right now?
Yeah, I talked to Pat the other day. The hand setback, he was a little frustrated just because he wants these reps to get ready. I think the one thing to watch about Bailey is last year, he's always been a much better left-handed hitter than right. Last year, that kind of flipped around a little bit in the big leagues, weirdly. And then I think it almost screwed up his left-handed swing. And this year, because they have Tom Murphy, I think Murphy's going to mostly play against left-handers, and that's going to keep Bailey probably a little more grooved with his left-handed swing. That's not to say that in a game a pitching change happens, you flip him around and he bats right-handed. He'll get some right-handed at-bats. But I think that's the thing to watch with him. The defense is going to be good. He says his body feels good, more prepared to hold up over a full season. Patrick Bailey and Kyle Harrison and Jung Hoo Lee. To me, forget about all the other additions. The additions are what they are. I think those are the three guys that will tell the story of this season.
Now, Tyler Fitzgerald sounds like a super utility guy, no?
I think he's probably going to make the team. He's not had a lot of great at-bats this spring, but I think, he just fits the profile of somebody who can bounce between infield and outfield, can be a pinch runner late in a game. I think that versatility really helps his cause. I don't think it's an absolute done deal, but I think he's a favorite to win a roster spot.
And what about Luciano and Matos? Matos playing better in spring training. Luciano's been struggling. Are both of them going to be in AAA?
Probably. Matos has impressed everybody. Matos, is a listener, man. You remember 2 off seasons ago, we were talking about him as a prospect and how he's got to get more patience. Mm-hmm. And then he came back last year and was taking pitches and wasn't hacking and had made big improvements.
Right.
Then this last off season, they said, go get stronger. What does he do? He comes back and he's a lot stronger. So to me, I love that. Like, he's a guy with aptitude. He listens. Luciano's had a rough spring. And, I think he needs a few more reps. He's always been a slow starter, a guy who gets adjusted to a new level slowly. So let him get into the rhythm of the season, go down there, and see if he can force his way up. I think that's probably the way that it's going to go.
Flynn, before we get you out of here, I got to ask you about Renel Brooks Boone, but not what happened and the mutual party with the organization of Renel, but I just want to ask you, and you've been here with the Giants for a long, long time. Obviously, Renel's been the only public address announcer in the history of Oracle Park, one of the first African-Americans, females to be a public address announcer. What is the thing you're going to miss most about seeing her every day at the yard? Because I know she's going to be back around. She's going to be the public address announcer emeritus, whatever that means. But what is the one thing that we don't know about Renel that really blew you away about the person that she is and how she's an ambassador for this community?
Well, the thing I'm going to miss most is her voice. I love her voice. Like, I know that sounds obvious, but a lot of PA announcers in sports I do not like. And she just sounds so dang good. Her voice is just so great. I've always thought that was the coolest part about her because, she took a lot of criticism when the Giants hired her. Were they hiring her for diversity reasons or representation reasons or to check a box or to win some PR points? And the answer was absolutely no. Like, she was just great at her job. And I love that about Renel. And I love how much she cares about the Giants and cares about the Giants players. And, I'm going to miss seeing her. She's been just a massive part for so many people. That's what they think of. You close your eyes and think of the ballpark and you think of her. So she should be super proud of an amazing career. To me, she's on the list of all sports. She's on the list of the all-time greats who've ever done that job.
So, Dave, how about that game yesterday, huh? West Sunset, 1-0.
I thought something else was coming, Flip. I'm not going to lie to you.
How about that game yesterday? Youth game yesterday. Dave's son was playing against one of our teams, and I got there late because we had practice simultaneously, so we split the teams up. It was 0-0. You guys had a no-hitter going into the 7th, and then one of your guys gets on base and a couple of throwing mistakes. That was a hell of a game.
It was a good game. That was a well-played. Your team played clean baseball. It was like a crisp. The game moved. We were all looking at each other like, is this little league ball or whatever we call it when they're that age? Is that I've never seen a game like this. That was fun to watch.
It was. Your son's also like 8 feet taller than me.
He's a big kid. He's moving around like an athlete these days. We'll see.
Well, Flip's no small dude.
No.
You know how tall Flip is? Come on, man. Flip's got some athleticism. He's biking all over the city.
Well, I talked his ear off, too. His ears are probably hurting this morning, and I feel bad.
Luckily for Flip, when he saw me, Zaza Pachulia came walking down the block, and there was a couple other people, and then Flip had his class waiting for me. He was like, yes, I'm out of here. I don't have to spend more than 3 minutes with Bonte Hill. Oh, Flip, it's so good to hear your voice, man. Baseball's back. Opening day right around the corner. Giants look so much better on paper. They're at least intriguing, and they should compete for one of these playoff spots in the National League.
Hey, you know what? Can I say one last thing, too?
Go ahead. Yep.
Forget this talk about the wild card only. Like, forget that. Go take a shot at the big boys.
Ooh.
Like, I don't want to hear this, they can sneak in, or that's BS, man. The attitude of this franchise should always be to take down that team. And that's what the rivalry means. I don't care who they sign. I don't care how much money they paid. You line up those two teams on the field next to one another, and I dare you to tell me that they're a whole lot better than the Giants are. I don't believe that.
Wow.
I think the Giants can go toe-to-toe with that team. They can.
I love it. Let's see how it plays out.
We got opening day and the Masters around the corner.
We'll definitely get to the Masters. We'll definitely get to the Masters.
Dave.
We'll get to the Masters. Oh, no, Shasky's been down on golf, Flynn. Don't let him fool you with this fake excitement. He's been down on golf. I tried to talk to players with him, but he didn't want to spend 30 seconds on the players.
Because there's nobody in the field.
Yeah, the Players was a good weekend. That was a good precursor for the Masters. I've been down on golf too, but the Players was a good sign. I'm hoping that means we're going to get some better golf coming ahead.
I'm with you.
All right, Flynn. Thanks for spending some time with us, man. Have a good morning.
And our guy Will Zalatoris, biggest Giants fan on the planet.
Yeah,
he's back.
He's
back.
With a new back.
With a new back.
Yeah.
With a new back. All right, Flynn. Have a good one,
See you,
man.
Dave.
Always good to hear Dave Flemming here on the Morning Roast. By the way,